Hi there, it's Denise Eckert, and I love coming on here and sharing different techniques and ideas. And today it's a little bit different. Today I've got Heather Ruth, and she's a professional neurologist, passionate about helping people to see the layers of self and embody all aspects to live life thriving and move from survival mode. She has a strong purpose to help people transmute generational trauma to usher in a new age for generations to come. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's taken us a little bit, but I think the universe always works in our favor.
Absolutely. Now, Heather, what inspired you to do this type of work?
Probably the typical answer is that like dark night of the soul, but actually it was my children. I was dealing with like undiagnosed postpartum disorder after the birth of my child. We were a one income family at that time. In that 2008, 2009 period where economically it wasn't exactly flourishing here in Canada. It was interesting between my son being born and then my daughter being born, there's 16 months. And so I had back to back babies, and my husband got laid off in the middle of that. And so it really was the unwinding. The more I look back and I reflect at some of our like codes and astrology and all these kinds of pieces, I really saw that as, I guess that was my biggest opening. It was like something has to change fundamentally within myself, my belief system, how I want to raise my kids, what I want to feel in this world. And I started a network marketing business. I wasn't loving it. I'm not really that like forceful sales human being. And I'm much more about people and service. And I started to see these things unfolding. And at the time I was a bank manager. And really struggling in this like corporate world of no time for yourself and all this time for the company, right? It wasn't even about the clients for me in a lot of aspects. It was always this like corporate mastermind that was occurring, and it was really hitting my soul. And I was starting to struggle. And it was about when my kids were about 4 and 5 when I met somebody, and she put her hand out and she said, I want to help you because I see really big things in you. And I see this like thing that maybe you're not even seeing within yourself. And I started coaching with her. And then she did my numerology. And I was like, whoa, that is so who I am. These are all, even the shadow sides or the dark sides. I was like, yeah, that's 100% my personality makeup. I've always trusted that there's something going on in the world or something going on in our like experience that we can't see. There was always that like level for me. And the more I dove into my numerology, I could see that was just a part of my general makeup to really lean into trust. I'm a ruling 7. And if I hadn't incorporated or found this, I think I'd still be in the dark shadow, the subconscious of myself, because I needed the spiritual awakening. I needed the spiritual and evolution to occur for myself. And numerology was just that for me. And it opened up to so many doors. And then for the next 8 years, I decided to like fully immerse myself into how can this help parenting? How can this help our own communities with understanding themselves fundamentally? There's things that you'll see in your chart where you're like, oh, that is just me. And that's a moment of validation. And then you stop seeing yourself as broken and you just start seeing yourself with two sides of a coin.
Now, Heather, what is numerology?
Numerology is the study and the frequency of the numbers. It's basically the language of the universe. It is how the universe talks back to us in this kind of form. So every number Pythagoras discovered way back when in like the early years with Galileo, Pythagoras, they were really discovering that all of a sudden numbers oscillated at a certain frequency. And so through the discovery of music, and that's when they started to recognize things like the astrology, the sky, the movement. That's when sacred geometry all of a sudden kind of, it was always there, but really came into the surface. And so numerology is the language of the universe, and it speaks to us in vibration, frequency, and energy.
Now, what would you work with? Do people just pick numbers, or are there numbers that are attached to people, or how does that work?
So basically it works based on your date of birth. So there's no coincidence when you came into the world. You chose your soul. So of course we have to go back to this premise that we need to be of the belief that we're more than a physical body, that we have to invite in the aspect that we are a spiritual being having a human experience. So we're meant to be here on earth to live this through our bodies, really to feel that. And so that's a level of consciousness that we want to come into, an awareness that we are more than just a physical body, that we are a spirit in a body having a human experience. We're meant to feel the 3D world, right? And so your date of birth is the portal in which you came into, which is what your soul's lessons chose to live out at this time.
Now, how does that help us create a more thriving life if we know what's going on with our numbers?
Yeah, what it does is it allows you. So I always look at the chart from a place of what numbers do you have that you're already working with, even whether you are aware of it or not. But it's really the ones that you're missing that you're actively learning to embody, right? So for example, I'll look at your chart and I see that you're missing the 3, and I'll see that you're missing the 8 and the 7. And I'm like, okay, so she's here learning you have a lot of numbers in your chart. You have a lot of different numbers in your
Okay, so
energy.
now for the audience, my birthday's May 2nd. So how does that work then?
Yeah, so May 2nd in the system that I play with is called the playing deck of cards, or the destiny of cards. Robert Lee Camp is one of the people that has brought it into the world through different books. And so your month and your day indicate that you carry the birth card of the 4 of spades. What I'm looking at when I talk about this is that this is a system that's been hidden from humanity for eons. I just want to say centuries. I never get my dates correct, so I'm never going to try and tell you it was 1000 AD, because that's not a detail that's important to me as someone who delivers it. But energetically, this system has been around since the time of the Atlanteans. That's as far back as we can find records. Things in Egypt burnt down, libraries burnt down. So there's not a lot of physical energy around this, except for the Mystic Test book that only Richard wrote. And it's like really written in like ancient English. And it's like when you read it, you really have to ingest. Like you have to think about how our language has changed over centuries. And this system is basically a playing deck of cards. And the playing deck of cards is 52. That indicates 52 weeks of the year.
I never thought of that.
The playing deck of cards,
Wow.
2 colors, one black, one red, indicating the more inner experience as a human, like a spiritual experience, the things that go on with inside us. And then that more outer expression, the red, the daylight, the black, the nighttime.
Wow.
Really indicating our cycle and our season that we go through every single day. The 13 face cards in each of these suits represents our 13 lunar cycles. And so you start going through that, and then you got your suits, which stand for different aspects of way we learn. So you would start with the hearts. We learn through relationships, connections, partnerships. They really show us and guide us what's going on for ourselves. And then we've got things like the diamond. And the diamond energy is about that physical, material experience that you're having here on Earth at this right moment, right? It's that visceral feeling through the body. It's linked with harvest. It's linked with the fall. It's linked with everything we plant in the beginning part of the year that we were going to reap benefits from later in the fall when we harvest, thinking about farmers, right? Those aspects. And then we've got the clubs. And if you think about the club, if you look at the shape of it, it's like thought bubbles. It's like thought bubbles. And so it's all about our expression, our communication, what we're learning, what we're ingesting, right? It's all of that. How are we getting it out into the world? How do we think? Are we using our minds, and are we connecting it with our heart? Because the spades are going to take us all the way up. And if you look at the structure of a spade, it is the heart, the diamond, and the club combined. So it's saying, this is the last roll. We're going to take all of our centers, our wisdom centers, and we're going to take it to the next level. So it's like that pointing up is that spiritual ascension. And so spades really indicate things like work or health and spiritual component to our life. And that's the coolest thing about this system.
Never look at a deck of cards. No,
I'll never look at a deck of cards in the same way ever again. Like, games will become different. You'll pick up a deck of cards and a number might fall it. So then the numbers themselves then carry some aspects of influence, right? And so you have to look at the structure of what the number is. And they all carry a certain collective energy that is then transmuted through the shape or the spade or the diamond that tells us something that's going on. And so for you, you are the 4 of spades. And so you're integral. You have an integrity with purpose that you're trying to get out into the world. This is your modus of operandi. It's like literally how you're moving through the world, right? The 4 of spades wants that physical, like that rounded aspect of integrity in the purpose that you're doing. And so it really is telling me that you have this stability and instability rolled into one aspect. So 4s, thinking of it like a chair, if we don't have all of our centers feeling good, that chair kind of feels wobbly. That's really important feature to understand. So when we feel wobbly, we have to pause, take a breath, ground in. What maybe do I need to shore up? Is it my spiritual connection? Have I fallen off the wagon and I've just been like in my mundane aspects of life? What's there? Have I neglected my body? Am I not listening to it? Am I not nourishing it properly? Maybe it's my heart. My relationships have just faltered because I haven't had a good one with myself. Right? So when we're not connected to our heart, it's hard for us to connect with other people.
Yeah.
That's that like feeling of reciprocity between that relationship. And so that's really big. And then of course, how am I communicating? Am I communicating good, or do I sound like I'm always speaking French or Spanish or like a totally different language? Really coming into understanding, what am I thinking, feeling, all in union? And you do that from a combination of perspectives. So it's like you have these seats at your table, they're both integral to your foundation. You can't do anything that feels not right for your own integrity line. Now, remembering that integrity is an individual integrity line. We can't hold society to our level of integrity because it's just not going to be possible. We all vibrate at a different energy. But I can sense from you, you have this really deep love for wanting to make humanity a better place.
Absolutely.
Wanting to bring more of that humanness back into humanity. And that I look at that and I see that genuinely because of your ruling number 9. So when I add up all the numbers in your date of birth, I get a 9, from a 2 to a 7. So you have this underlying intuitiveness, this ability to trust, really understanding there's something more going on in the world than you can put your finger on. And you're doing it so that humans can feel better. You're doing it so that humans can learn and shift and have perspective. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be doing a podcast like this.
No.
Right? So sometimes for yourself, you may find yourself swimming in a little bit of complacency, like a big fish in a small pond, right? So I just get a little bit complacent. That can happen with the 4s. But when you feel constricted in the space available, you might start swimming a little more slowly. Instead of that rapid kind of going around in circles, now you're moving a little bit slowly because you can feel the constriction. You feel that through your body. You're like, okay, when I'm feeling constricted, what should I be aware of? Where have I constricted myself? Because anything with expansion, we have to have contraction. But where am I not allowing myself to expand? These are questions that would want to come to surface for you. And so you feel unsettled inside. It just means that you're settling for something on the outside that doesn't align with you spiritually. So really for you, a modus of, am I settling here? Or can I demand something higher? I know I'm worthy of this. It's like really coming into that grounded self-worth. And so your energy is beautiful, like a weather vane. And I really want you just to embrace that feeling, like it moves with the weather. And so really you're connected to those like environmental changes with your health too. And health has probably been a bit of a focus the earlier part of this year because you had to go inward. You had to come in and go, okay, what is going on? So even illness or unwellness with our body is an invitation to say, okay, where have I been overworking? Where have I been putting more out than actually putting in? This is an important feature for yourself, is the output and the input need to be of like equal match.
That's what I've always struggled for. And that's why I do this podcast, not only for myself to learn a lot more of how we can reduce stress and create a better lives for ourselves, but also to introduce different people to the world, because I think we all struggle with that a little bit, especially after COVID, after a lot of us have to shift our businesses. A lot of us were sick. A lot of us lost people. There's just so much going around that's so heavy. Like it's just,
It is.
and it's really hard, I find right now, even just to recreate the connections that we had pre-COVID.
Yeah. And sometimes we have to look at that and go, are these connections things that are going to serve me moving forward in my life? Or maybe it's the opportunity if they were there for a purpose and a time to really come into that reclamation of self, is that not all relationships are meant to be with us for the rest of our lives. And so it is, do we reconnect? Can we reformulate? And if it's so struggling, if it's really hard to weave those pieces back together because you've changed and you have evolved and they've changed and they've maybe evolved or devolved, because that can happen. We can go backwards, and that's because nothing is a straight line in this world. It's a spiral of evolution. We spiral up and we can spiral back, and we have to be good with coming back, because the reason we come back is to have a better look at the actual dreams and desires or the change that we really want to put forward in our lives. We have to come back to look at it again so that we can actually put the proper steps in place.
Now, for someone that's listening today and they want to find out more about numerology, what are some of the steps that they can take?
There's some really great pieces. They can connect with me if they want.
Yeah.
You can just DM me, and I'm happy to have conversations in my Instagram DMs. That's where I'm most vibrant. Platform for myself, much easier. And I don't get hit with a lot of ads like I do in Facebook, but I'm in there as well. Where else? Finding any type of podcasts. I have my friend Megan Alton has a podcast right now that she talks about a bit of numerology. There's another beautiful podcast out there called Embodied Numerology. But really, you could also plug it in to ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
Believe it or not. I mean, I'm going to tell you the difference with that is that ChatGPT is amazing. And I think we all need to come on board and understand how to utilize AI for our benefit, but not get used by it.
Yeah.
It will give you a really great idea because it can go and tap into all of these different systems, like the written knowledge that's in the internet. But remembering that coming to someone like myself or any of the multiple numerologists that I know of, and I'm happy to always, not everyone wants to work with me, but I have lots of friends in the area that are in the realm of numerology that are willing to help, and they always have different fit. That we're humans and we have an emotional connection to the energy. And so the ability to truly read yours or anyone else's is much better than like the ChatGPT will get. It'll give you a good like foundation. It'll give you an understanding. Like, what does the energy of 6 mean? It can probably spit that out and tell you. And so it's just about really coming into, I always say with people with numerology, learning about yourself first before learning the system properly is the best way to learn and understand the numbers.
Absolutely.
Because it pertains to you directly. So like, for instance, Denise, you have this, what I see is you have a 1, a 5, and a 9 in your numbers in your chart. And that tells me you have the arrow of determination, which tells me in so many ways is that you have this, it's not about the job that you do, it's about the satisfaction of it being done well and as complete. And so if you have projects that are sitting undone, they're probably taking up space in your mind. They're probably like you ruminate about them. And it's because your body and your being wants to complete them, whether you like them or not. It could be the worst renovation. You're digging up a septic tank, but you know that when it's done, you're going to feel so good. Even while in the process, it's probably not your favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? That's the arrow of determination. That's an essence that would make you different than someone else who carries a 9 that doesn't have those numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, it's funny. I have this table beside me where I have all my projects, and then I have a basket of projects that I really not that interested in doing. So yeah, I can relate.
That's 100%. Here you go.
There's two different ways to store my projects. One is on the table in my face, even though I don't have time for it right now, or in the basket where, yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to this, because we have a lot on our plates.
100%. And so you have that's carrying you through. I have the same arrow. And so it feels so good. So when you do complete your project, celebrate it. Feel into the satisfaction. Really relish in it. Take a picture, post it wherever you need to, like whatever that is for you in celebration land, because you'll feel that sense of satisfaction boil up. And it's like that momentum energy that will keep you going forward. Okay, so that'll be
And I
really
have such a hard time with that. And I'm probably not the only one. I'm one of these people, though, once I finish one thing, I've got 10 more things behind it, and I don't take that time.
yeah.
And I don't know why. I just don't know why. And I know it is something I need to start doing.
It's also because you have it's also because you have the other arrow, which you have the 6, the 5, and the 4 in your numerology. And it's the arrow of will and commitment, which literally means you pretty much will push through things with pure will. It's not always going to serve you. However, at the same time, you have the energy to get it completed. And once you've said yes to something, you will follow through with it. That's that commitment thing. So
Yeah.
just imagine you got this determination and this commitment. And it's, if I don't fucking do things, I'm not going to feel good. That's the shadow side of yourself, is the moment you don't, like you've made a commitment and you don't step forward to that commitment, you will feel that's your subconscious shadow side. It's like always honoring those pieces. This influence helps you to push this person to a greater and greater heights and developing themselves. And so that drive to become better, that drive to understand yourself, this is like naturally coming from within your own being.
Wow. Okay, so I understand you have a discount offer for our listeners today.
Yeah, so anyone that wants to reach out to me, they can either find me through Instagram or through my website, which is puresoulfulcoaching.com. They can message me, email me, and anyone that comes from, so if they just have to like message me about, I heard this through Denise Eckhart's podcast, and I'm offering them a 10% discount on a reading. And or even just like they can jump on a free call with me. That's fine. I do that sometimes, which is a mini kind of reading, because I always ask for your date of birth and I always like to have a presence of who they are. But I do have a 10% discount for those that are interested in connecting.
Wonderful. Okay, so Heather, we're going to be wrapping this up now. So what are your final words of wisdom to the audience today?
Oh, this is a big one. Especially with the energy that's in the air today. There's a lot of, especially in Canada, is really come in and connect with yourself. Really being in the flow with your own energy is really important. So honoring what your body feels, what your mind feels, and bringing these two units together. When we can master our own energy, it doesn't really matter what's going on in the world outside of us. We stay committed, we stay dedicated, and we stay devoted to the things that we want in our lives. And we start to understand that control is one of those mechanisms that we've been fighting against most of our lives. And it's the understanding that not to give our sovereignty over to another system, but to embody it ourselves.
Wow. Okay, so wherever you're watching or listening to this, I'll have Heather's information. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask Heather the questions. So thank you so much, Heather. Great information. It's always nice to get different perspective on how to look at different things. And today really opened up my eyes. So now giving you a gentle reminder to slow down and enjoy life. And I will see you in the next episode.